More from Hugh throughout the morning. Good morning. Hello. Welcome to our programme. We are very pleased to have you with us. Now, we're going to talk about something that sounds like an unlikely church congregation. Ex-gang members. Ex-violent gang members. But it's true. We've been given exclusive access to the Salvation Proclaimers Anointed Church in South London, where more than half the worshippers used to be in a gang. The church is on a mission to save troubled young people, providing a safe space where they can go and talk to someone. And their approach has been welcomed by the Metropolitan Police, the largest force in England and Wales. Our reporter, Noel Phillips, has been to see how they do it.
This is how one church is using former gang members to tackle knife crime.
Before I actually became a gang member, I was actually stabbed. I'm on my way home back from football.
The lives of these young men may be the most remarkable. Some were once notorious gangsters, but now they've put their past behind them for one common goal: to prevent violence and save lives.
If you do not let me walk, if you do not let me walk away, if you do not...
I said give me the items and let me... Okay, so these people have been caught shoplifting by the security guard and they're not trying to get caught.
We've had times where people are coming to the altar and dropping their drugs on the altar.
The pastor responsible for their transformation claims that successive governments have failed to get a grip on violent crime, and it is now time for the church to take action.
Over 55% of the people in the church were ex-gang members, drug dealers. Last year, 2017, we had over 1,000 people, young men, came forward to renounce that life.
You don't look like you're ready for the world.
We're inside SPACNATION, known as Salvation Proclaimers Anointed Church, based in South London, where preachings are tailored to a different kind of congregation. Former armed robbers, drug dealers and gang members. A far cry from the life they once lived. This is not a normal Pentecostal church. It's a place where the word of God is being used to reform ex-criminals, like 26-year-old Kevin, who was recently in prison for attempted murder.
Last year and this year is actually the first time that I haven't been into prison, so do you get what I'm saying to you? So it's something that's working.
Are you confident that this will work and you will stay out of prison perhaps the rest of your life?
It's working. I'm confident it's working.
The church has over 1,000 members and is led by this man.
He is basically like our prophet. He is our teacher who teaches us about the word, and we don't idolize him, but we come to him because he knows more about it than we do.
Who you might feel is not worthy, actually that's who God uses, because they've been there. They know how to go back to the prisons. They know how to go back to the estates.
So I want to know how this 37-year-old pastor has taken some of Britain's toughest gang members off the streets and into the church.
I understand that our approach is different from a traditional church. So I've got to look like them, I've got to connect. And that's really out of my way, to be honest with you. I would never have dreamt of wearing a ripped jeans as a pastor.
I mean, that's quite extraordinary. I mean, your jeans are ripped, you're not in a suit, you're very casual. For a lot of people, that will be
That's not
difficult.
pastoral, is it?
Yeah.
No, but the generations are changing. I've got to look like the people I'm trying to talk to. And you do realize that I've got access, and I speak to in quotes now, the worst of the worst. The people that have done the most despicable thing. I sit down with them, we talk.
The son of a preacher, Pastor Toby moved to the UK from Nigeria 12 years ago. Since then, he has expanded his church, with over 15 other branches across London. The former MP, now Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister, Gavin Barwell, met members last year and praised the church's approach to tackling of knife crime.
You can't rely on the government to change your life on its own.
But labelled as a cult, people on social media have accused Pastor Toby of attracting young men and women from troubled backgrounds to his church using materialistic things such as money and wealth.
If a cult means helping young people, reducing the number of people that will be victims of knife crime or gun crime, a guy comes to church who is trying to go to Harvard from Stratford, you know, and he's not able to go, and then we give them money to go. If that's what a cult means, then we've got to be a cult.
This might look like a stage performance, but it's how this church interacts with their members. The ministers and pastors you see here are all self-appointed. They don't come under the supervision of any religious or regulatory body.
In a society that doesn't always offer second chances to people like these young men, they say they are living proof that former gang members like them can make a difference in communities struggling to cope with knife crime.
Among them is 22-year-old Daniel, who at the age of 12 was part of a gang.
Do you remember the first time you carried a knife?
I do, yes. Age 13. I took it to school, but although I didn't do nothing with it, it was there for protection. It's like reckless abandonment. You don't care about what can happen. You don't care about the consequences. You live in the minute. So you get the knife, you put it in your pocket. You don't think about, oh, there's police down the road, or what if I get into a problem and I actually have to use this? It's just there, and whatever happens, happens, you know?
Have you ever been stabbed?
Yes, I have. Well, I was caught up in a rival gang area, actually around here in Brixton, and I was actually approached by 4 members of a rival gang. I tried to escape, but I was caught, and I was actually stabbed in my leg.
This is now Daniel's life. He now preaches peace in Brixton, the very same neighbourhood he once terrorised.
An elderly person who's never been on the streets of Brixton can't then tell a gang leader or tell a group of young boys, don't carry a knife, or give them real reasons as to why they shouldn't, carry the knife. What they need to do is build partnerships with community leaders who have been in that position of carrying a knife, who have been gang members.
Before I came into the house of SPAC, I was known as a lot of things. Before I actually became a gang member, I was actually stabbed on my way home back from football. The reason why I'm standing here today is not only because of myself, basically. It's like, I'm basically saying to everybody else, I'm living proof that you can actually make a change.
A frightening testimony. 23-year-old Stephen, who is now an evangelist, has lived a life of drugs and extreme violence.
If it wasn't for the church, there would be no change for me. Basically, in other words, my job is not only to target gangs, but to anyone else in the streets that needs saving, that's living in darkness, to bring them to Christ. That's my job. That's what I do.
There is no organization apart from the church that can solve crime among young people. You can never solve knife crime by saying we are anti-knife.
Why do you think these young men whose lives you've been able to transform are listening to you and perhaps not listening to their parents or to the authorities? What are you saying to them?
I've actually gone to prison doors on the day a person is released, take them, drive them home and tell them, you're now living with me. And the next day we've bought them a suit, a jacket, say, come with me. If they see a better life, that's one of the major secrets. If they see a better life, they will change.
A vivid reminder of the consequences of knife crime.
He was sadly taken away from us by another young man using a knife. And it actually never gets any easier for us or the family.
Vico Duggan was just 17 when he was stabbed through the heart in 2013. It was a random attack. But enough for him to be murdered in front of a toddler by another teenager with a knife. Gangs have closely been linked to the increase in knife crime. Means comes there often with Vico's family, who are part of the church.
We're trying to achieve more life, less funerals, mums and dads shouldn't really be burying their children like what's happened here. We're trying to prevent this. We're trying to prevent young people in prisons. You know, we're so passionate about young people, young black men and women, you know, achieving their potential, because what we're heavy on is literally going out there on the street, wherever young people are.
London has just had its worst year for knife crime. 80 people were stabbed to death last year. 26 of those were teenagers.
If you know someone that's in jail and you know that they're coming out...
We're in Croydon, South London, where these pastors are looking for gang members.
Show the brothers, bro. Do you get what I'm saying? There's not a lot of opportunities. This is what we're trying to show you.
What about you, my sister? Just a general prayer. Yeah? Is that okay, yeah? All right, we're just going to pray for you anyway.
A former leader of DSN, Don't Say No More, one of Croydon's largest criminal gangs, Pastor David is on a mission to show young people a life away from crime.
We're coming to bring peace and also to offer these people help. So it is a dangerous thing, but like I said, because we're coming with a good heart, we just know all is well.
You can even see how bad the area is because there's a fight starting right over there. That's how bad the area is. They're over here. You'll see. David, let's go.
Ruben, who is no stranger to scenes like this, tells me his role on the streets is not easy when it comes to gang wars and violence.
My dear. I'll deal with him. We'll deal with him. Sir, are you a security guard?
Yeah, security guard.
Okay.
I said, give me that and let me.
Okay. So these people have been caught shoplifting by the security guard and they're not trying to get caught. That's basically what's happening. They're shoplifting and they don't want to get caught. That's it.
That's Croydon, big man. That's Croydon, yeah?
Dealing with problems before they get out of control is the essence of their roles in communities across London.
Can you show him to this side? God bless you. Thank you.
Back in the church, critics say it should not be targeting vulnerable young people in order to grow its followers. But pastors say they are seeing results.
Pastor Toby is asking members of the congregation to make their way to the front with any knives or weapons that they may have in their pockets.
We've had times where people are coming to the altar and dropping their drugs on the altar. We're coming where people are dropping their knives on the altar. I mean, last week, a young boy that came out of jail, I was praying for him, I was holding him, and he was crying. A 23-year-old man crying because he doesn't want that lifestyle. The only reason he's doing that lifestyle is because that's all he knows.
Just 2 years ago, Connor was facing a 12-year prison sentence for a string of violent crimes. He's one of 14 ex-offenders who now lives with Pastor Toby at his home.
They need shelter. That's not shelter from ex-gang people chasing them. The mind is the factory for everything. And I've got to do that. Again, I stumbled into this. It's not a plan. It's not something we sat down and said, look, we're going to have. But I'll deal with cases and ask myself, where do I want him to go? I know that when he's coming out fresh from jail, if I allow him to go back to the community, the system will not employ him anyway.
Is it the role of the church to be getting involved with gangs and trying to stop knife crime? Isn't that down to the police and perhaps the authorities?
Over 55% of the people in the church were ex-gang members, drug dealers. Last year, 2017, we had over 1,000 people, young men, came forward to renounce that life. The police and the authorities don't really know what to do right now. They look to me like they are confused. And so call it a church, call it whatever we want to call it, it has to be the role of somebody.
In response, the Metropolitan Police has told us they want churches like this to be seen as safe spaces for young people in order to help reduce knife crime. For many of the former gang members who walked through these doors, it was a choice between life and death.
Most gang members that you see lack love, and that's the problem. They do lack love inside, and most of them might not want to own it to it, but that's the thing, it's a lack of love.
But for those given a second chance, this is an opportunity to make a real difference and prevent others from making the same mistakes they did.